Good morning, everyone. My name is Shujat Hirat Khan. Division and batch of mine is AL1, and I am from the batch A11. So the topic I got for today's presentation is file operations and character count program in Python. So the topic to be included in this whole PPT is the introduction to file handling, importance of file operations, problem of file, types of file modes like read, write, append. We will going to see it in the later section of the PPT. Problem statement that we have got is the character count. We are going to count the character in the particular file. So we will also discuss this later. Concept of character counting, algorithm and program logic, Python code implementation, flowchart, the challenges, application and ethics, and then conclusion. So let's move on our first topic. So let's discuss about file handling. So what is file handling basically? So file handling means working with file stored in a on a computer. Normally when a program runs, the data is temporary and get exhausted. Okay, so here comes the file handling in the action. So file handling can store the data permanently in text files like .txt, .csv, etc. This is very important in real world applications like saving data or logs. Okay, so in short, the process of creating, reading, writing and managing files used to store data permanently. This is the crux of the whole file handling. So why file handling is needed? File handling is needed because programs often need to store data for future use. Okay. For example, in applications like banking or social media, data must not be lost. It also helps in managing large data sets efficiently. Let's move on to the next slide. So the next slide is file modes and operations. So what are file modes? File modes define how we interact with a particular file. For example, if we want to open a file, then what we want to do with it? Should we have to write? Do we have to read? Do we have to make some changes? So that's what file modes are in short. So operations are performed that includes file that includes opening the file, reading the content, writing the data and closing the file. So if I explain this, file handling involves multiple steps. First, we open the file, then perform operations like reading or writing, and then finally close the file to free from the system resources. So now let's discuss a problem statement. What problem statement I have got is my goal is to design a program that reads a text file and counts how many characters it contains. This includes all letters, numbers, spaces. So here is the change. We will going to see program which involves the spaces, means the program which will calculate the spaces, and the next program which will not calculate the spaces. So we are going to see two programs in short, and the symbols also. So what is character count? Character count means counting every single character present in the file. For example, in the hello world, if we do with the normal program, the space is also calculated between the hello here, between the hello and the world. And we will also going to see a program when this space is not calculated, only the hello and the world will going to calculate. So we will going to see this in the next slides. So in short, count all characters, which includes alphabets, numbers, spaces, or including spaces or not spaces, special symbols. Okay. So now let's discuss the algorithm and the logic behind it. The algorithm is a step-by-step solution, as we all know. First, we open the file. Here I have also given the chart. First, we open the file, then read all the data. This has repeated double times, guys. So first, we will going to open the file, read all the contents, store the data, count the character using the len function. We will going to use this len function and display the results, close the file, and here our program ends. So let's discuss the basic code of character count, including and excluding spaces. First, we are going to see including spaces. So we are going to use this program for including spaces. So file is equals to open the file name, and we are going to open in read mode. Data is equals to file.read, and we are going to use len function to calculate the length of the data and storing it in count variable. So we are going to print total characters with spaces and the value of count, and then we are going to close the file. So this code reads the file and counts all characters using the len function. It includes spaces, letters, numbers, special characters in the total count. Now let's see excluding spaces. So file is equals to open. We are opening the file. This is the name of the file in read mode. Data is equals to file dot read. Count len data dot replace. Here is the change. Replace. This space is getting replaced with this, and this doesn't contain any kind of spaces. So when the len function is calculating the len, the spaces will not going to get calculated here. Okay, so we will going to get the value of count such that there is no spaces involved in it. And after that, we are going to use print total characters without spaces, and the value of count we will going to print, and then we will going to close the file. So in this version, we will remove spaces using replace space with this before counting. This gives us the number of characters excluding spaces. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. The next slide is complex cases and ethics. So as we are dealing with file handling, we should know what kind of challenges we can face. We should know how we can solve the challenges so that we didn't fall into any kind of problem in future. So let's discuss what are the challenges. So in real world scenarios, problem may occur. For example, file may not exist or it may be empty. Large file may take time to process. These cases may be handled properly to make the program robust. How we can handle it? We can just handle it with a code. So what the code is, we can write up whole code in the try and except block. For example, we write the code in try block with open. So here what the with does, I would like to explain this. Using with, the file gets closed automatically. Although we have not written any kind of file dot close like here, we have written file dot close here, file dot close here. We have not written file dot close here because with this with the file get closed automatically. So this is a very good practice and identification of good programmer to use this with function so that the file gets closed automatically. So what we are going to do is we are going to write the whole program in try. We're going to read this whole text file as we did earlier, sample.txt. This is the file name, read mode. Data is equals to file.read, count with spaces. So we are doing simultaneously things, counting with spaces and counting without spaces. So count with spaces here is equals to len of data, count without spaces, len of data dot replace. So this will going to give without spaces, this will going to give the with spaces. Characters with spaces, count with spaces, character without spaces, count without spaces. Okay, but if this try block doesn't, if there is error, this try block will not execute. It will go in the except section. If file not found, it will print file not found. If there is permission error and user denied to give the permission, it will use permission denied. And in except section, this program, this general exception handles any expected errors. Okay, this block. So in this code, I have used a try except block to handle possible errors. Inside the try block, the file is opened and processed normally. If the file is not found, the program will not crash and instead display file not found. If there is a permission issue, it shows a permission error. The general exception handles any unexpected errors. This makes the program more reliable and user friendly. So now let's discuss what are some professional ethics. So as being a good programmer and a good ethical uh, things in us, we will respect the privacy. We will do not use the data unnecessarily and we will secure file handling. While working with files, we must follow the ethical practices. We should not access or misuse someone else's data without permission and must ensure that sensitive data is handled securely. Okay, so let's discuss some applications. Character counting is widely used in applications like text analysis, AI and NLP, log analysis, and data processing. Okay, so now in conclusion, the project helped us in understanding how file handling worked and how to implement a real world problem like like character counting using Python. And also we learned programs to calculate character or without character getting included in the count. We have learned these two programs, right? So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you.